see, in 2018, on New Year's Eve, we used to do this thing called a praise party, and we would start at 10 o'clock at night, and we'd go to midnight. We tried to do that here at Fairlawn, and like 10 people showed up. So then I was like, these are my people. I would rather be in bed. But no, we did this, and each time I'd come up with like a vision message. So we, December 31st of 2018, we had only been doing Blueprint for like 2.5 months. And I felt like God gave me a message for Blueprint about being planted, but he brought to my attention about a certain plant, which was a bamboo plant. And I did all kind of studies on it, on bamboo, and I've been like, well, that's a message I'm never going to get to do again because it was for that time. And there's been times I've been like, God, maybe I can move this around and kind of fit this and bring some bamboo on stage. And he's like, nope, it's not it for Fairlawn. At least not then, not at that time. So when God started dealing with me with plants and being planted, I was like, is this it? Is this the year of the bamboo for Fairlawn? Now, this is why it got me excited, because when I did this message at Blueprint in 2018, it was bamboo is, anybody know anything about a bamboo plant? Anybody have bamboo at their house? Yeah. Does it grow a lot? Like crazy, right? Yeah. Check this out. A bamboo plant can grow 2 inches every hour. In a 24-hour span, a bamboo plant can grow 4 feet. Yeah. Denise said it in the first service, that's taller than her. Crazy, right? Accelerated growth. But here's the funny thing with a bamboo plant. If you're going to plant bamboo, and I think we got a picture of the bamboo seeds. Sweet. That's a bamboo seed. So if you were gonna say, I'm gonna plant a bunch of bamboo, I want my place to look like a Nona's place, bamboo everywhere. And you went and got some of these seeds at Home Depot, and you planted them, and the next day you ran out to look at them, you think you'd see any bamboo? How about a year later? Nope. 3 to 4 years before you see anything above the ground, because everything's happening below the ground for strength. So when I did this message in 2018, that next year we saw accelerated growth. I mean, God did some amazing things. That the following October, we did what we call, it was our 1-year anniversary for Blueprint. We did what we called a birthday party and had a service, and we packed the place out. The pastor of Southside Christian, they're who let us use their building, said that that's the most people. He's been there 20 years. He said that's the most people he ever saw in that building. And it was like, man, God's doing some great things. Then the following year, it went into the following year, and around March, we because if you were there, how many of you guys were there when we were doing Blueprint? How many of you guys helped set up? So we'd set up like all day on Saturday, and then we would tear down Saturday night and be there for like hours. And I was so particular. Like, I would stand on the stage and be like, all right, we got to make sure these chairs line up. And people would get mad at me. I think Diane Palm cursed me out once. Just kidding. That didn't happen. But, and I was always say, man, if we can't take care of this place, how's God ever going to trust us with our own place? So, March, we were offered a place. The Assemblies of God had a building off of Hartman Road that they offered us. Now, it was kind of small. Now, this is the thing. The Assemblies of God was going to, a real estate agent got a hold of me, and the Assemblies of God was willing for another church. They were going to, we'd put $10,000 down, and then they would hold the note for 5 years, and after 5 years, you got to refinance it and get the balloon. It was a situation where we could have owned a building. I took Pastor Mark there. We were looking at it. Stuff we'd have to fix up. It was extremely outdated. And Pastor Mark was like, man, I believe this is going to take a lot of work. I believe God's going to give us something that's better than this. He's like, we're already outgrown the sanctuary. We'd have to have like a couple of services or something. And I was like, I'm feeling the same way. I think we just got to walk away from this. And we did. And another thing is, I still feel really strongly that God has told me personally not to have any debt in my life. So it's like, hey, if this is a church I'm leading, I feel like what God's doing in this house, he's also trying to do in my house. So I was like, I don't feel like God wants us to get in debt. I had one of our leaders, and understandably, he got upset with me and was like, how are we ever going to have a building, or how do you expect that if that's your mentality and then you won't get a loan? I said, I don't know. We may never have a building. Then, around that time, COVID was going on, which, thank God we walked away because of COVID. We couldn't even have had service, or it would have been really tough to have it, and we probably wouldn't have been able to pay the mortgage payment. In June, just a few months later, Pastor Mike got a hold of Pastor Mark, and then Pastor Mark got a hold of me about coming to Fairlawn. Pastor Mark came here and spoke. I came here and spoke, and it just felt like home. And it was like, this is where we need to be. And I remember telling Pastor Mark, I was like, if there's any debt, though, on the sanctuary or anything, because I was like, man, there's something up with this. This is like too good to be true, which when it's a God thing, it is too good to be true, right? So I was like, if there's any debt whatsoever, I'm out. You can do it yourself, but I'm out. Met with Pastor Mike, and I asked him. He's like, no debt whatsoever. We haven't been in debt for years. There's no debt. And I was like, man, this is a God thing. So we took the people from Blueprint, and we had the people from Fairlawn. We merged everybody together, and just something beautiful happened. And God just did a great thing. And it was so Mark. When I told Mark what I was going to speak on, he goes, "You need to talk about that and how from the beginning when you did that message and how God, it was just accelerated growth." That's just unheard of with us, how we ended up at Fairlawn. And I was like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I was like, all right, God, I pulled up my old notes. I'm like, let's do Year of the Bamboo for Fairlawn. We're going to grow. And then God kind of burst my bubble because he's like, no, it's not the year of the bamboo for Fairlawn. And I'm like, why? We've already seen so much growth. God's done so many things. I'm so excited about what God's doing here. I think we have the best staff that I've ever been a part of. Every single one of our pastors are dedicated. They're plugged in. They're amazing. Our elder board, we got our deacon board going and training up leaders there, and we got a new church van and a new church bus. I'm like, this has to be the year of the bamboo for Fairlawn. God's like, nope. So I was like, I got to do some praying on this. I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe this devil telling me it's not the year of the bamboo, Get behind me, Satan. Like, nope, it's not. I was like, but, okay, God, why is this not the year of the bamboo? Why is this not a year of accelerated growth? And I felt like he said to me, because there's people here at Fairlawn that are not even planted yet. And if they're not planted and we start growing in a certain way, they'll be left behind. And I was like, what do you mean they're not planted yet? Like what are you talking about? Like, yeah, they haven't made that commitment. They're not planted in the Word. They're not planted in the church. They're not. There's so much. They're kind of just in and out. And he didn't give me any faces or names. He just said there's people here. So it's not time for accelerated growth. There's going to be growth, and in some of you guys' life, it will be accelerated growth because you've been planted for a while. But for some, you haven't even made that decision to get planted yet. Because check this out. You can come here every Sunday, every Wednesday Bible study. You can come in here, you can listen to the songs, be led by the praise team, you can sing the songs, you can lift your hands, you can pray, you can worship, but not be planted. Because it's one thing to worship Jesus, it's another thing to follow Jesus. And there's people here that you've been worshiping Jesus and thinking it's all good, but you haven't been following him. You're all in. here on Sunday. Come Monday, there ain't a bit of Jesus there. You're not following the examples. You're not following the way. Like, it's just, no, that's beneath me. I can't do that. And you haven't made that decision to be planted. So we're going to talk about that. And the title of my and this is the cool thing. I always like to throw something out on social media to kind of get people's minds moving about the message. But I couldn't think of the title for this message because obviously it wasn't going to be the year of the bamboo. So I went on social media and asked for ideas, and I was blown away from people's responses and people sending me stuff. People were like sending me direct messages, sending me DMs, like giving me like notes. Like I had one person like send me like a whole sermon pretty much. And I was like, I think you missed the instructions. I just need the title. But it was cool, like how people got plugged in, and a lot of you guys did that. But this is what I decided on for the title of my message. Get planted. Get planted. And somebody really needs to listen to that. Because I have a feeling there's some people here that you thought you were planted, but after today you're going to realize, nah, I'm not planted at all. And if I want to see growth in my life, I got to first get planted. Because you know this, if you just take some seeds and you just place them on your dinner table, they're not going to grow. You got to plant them to grow. So, and here's the thing too. There's some of you that you've been praying for a certain thing to happen or to change in your life, but you continually put yourself in an atmosphere that contradicts what you're praying for. You are praying for this to happen, this to happen, this to happen, but as soon as you get done praying, you get back in that atmosphere that is totally opposite of what you've been praying for. And we're just expecting God to be like a genie and just do it. No, it's going to take something on your part. There's some people that you're going to have to delete off your phone. There's some people you're going to have to stop hanging around for a while. You're like, well, now Jimmy, but I can witness to him. I can tell him about it. What you've been doing is not a witness at all. So it would be better off for you just to exit that situation until God brings you back. But right now, you continue to stay in that atmosphere. God's not going to give you what you've been praying for. Check this out. I'll give you an example. Let's take a fish. We got a picture of a fish, John? Got to have a picture of a fish. Now, let's think about this. I'm going to give you guys, we're going to play a little game. No candy given out. This is not the trivia with candy. Nothing. This is just freebie. This is just for funsies. Fish. What is the best atmosphere? Is it A? What? No. This is a multiple choice game. You're way ahead of me here. Is it A, desert? Is that the perfect atmosphere for a fish? Is it B, a tree? I mean, you see all those fish hanging out in the tree, right? I mean, a fish in the desert might flop around a little bit. In a tree, it might flop around and fall out of the tree. Or is it C, water? Man, you guys are so smart. Yeah, that's the right atmosphere. All right, next thing. A rose. A rose. Now, what's the perfect atmosphere for this rose? Is it A, vase? It's pretty, right? Yeah. Is it B, a bouquet? Huh. That's great to give to your girl on Valentine's Day, Pee-wee. Or is it C, soil? I mean, the other two look good. The presentation is great, and a lot of times we chase the presentation. Because I'm just going to tell you, dirt don't look that good. You don't believe me? Bob, on Valentine's Day, you go get a handful of dirt and you present it to Miss Dameron. And we'll see what her reaction is. No, nobody wants dirt. No. See, the atmosphere that you put yourself in needs to be not about the best presentation or the most fun at the moment, but it needs to be an atmosphere where you are able to grow. So, number one, I got 5 points here, and you're like, this is going to be a 5-hour message. Nope, it is not. We're going to go through these pretty quick. Number 1 point, though, you're going to want to write this down, Miss Denise. Denise is probably the only person actually going to write it down. One time I came across this notebook, and I was like, who did all these notes? And I went to Miss Denise, and I go, hey, somebody, this is probably important to somebody. There's a lot of notes from, like, Pastor Mark's messages and my messages and different messages from Bible study. And I was like, we need to put this somewhere. She's like, oh, that's mine. But the number one thing, if we want to grow, is we need to get planted. Some of you have been trying to grow and been praying for growth, but you've never got planted. You've never been planted in anything. So, look, this is what Psalms 1:3 says. It says, they are like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do. Now this is talking about, this is about you and me right here. God wants to plant us next to the riverbank. He wants to plant us next to living water. Why? We can grow, but what's so big about planting us next to the riverbank? Because you got water right there, right? If you're planted in God's Word, if you're planted next to the living water, then you won't be dependent on the elements. It won't matter if it rains or not. It won't matter what goes on. It doesn't matter what's happening. It don't matter what's going on in the government. It doesn't matter what's going on with your finances. It doesn't matter who got voted in for president. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether she left you for somebody else or not. Because you're going to continue to grow. Because your growth is not dependent on other factors going on. Because you're planted next to living water. Then this verse, Psalms 1:3, it goes on to say, it bears fruit in all seasons. I don't know, I can't think of any trees that bear fruit in all seasons. But God's saying, I want to plant you by the riverbank. I want to plant you by living water so you produce fruit in all seasons. Winter, fruit. Spring, fruit. Summer, fruit. Autumn, fruit. Lay me off, fruit. Car broke down, fruit. Lights turned off, fruit. Eviction notice, fruit. Jackie got a new car and I don't, fruit. Leave me, fruit. Tell me I'm ugly, fruit. Then it goes on. It says, the leaves will not wither. Now that's interesting, because I don't know if you know this about trees. How many big tree people here? You know everything about trees? A few of you, yeah? Yeah. Well, this is what I found about trees. So, the bark of the tree, the trunk of the tree, what it does during a certain part of the year, it sucks up nutrients. Why does it do that? Because it does that so that it can survive when it gets really cold. And survive when there's not much rain. And because when it gets cold and when it starts to dry up, what will happen is the leaves of the trees will start to wither and they'll start to fall. Why? Because the trunk of that tree is withholding nutrients. Because it needs to survive. And what God's saying in this verse is saying, I want to get you to a place where you will never have to withhold anything. Good times, bad times, you'll be able to love on people. You'll be able to help people. You'll be able to show people Jesus and what Jesus is all about, no matter what's going on. See, some of you have been withholding resources because you get upset, you get sad. So-and-so says they're going to break up with you. There's no more milk in the refrigerator. Mold got on the bread, and you don't know how to take it, and just you cut off the mold. It's perfectly good. Just saying. And you are withholding what you give to other people because you are under the conception, you believe that you are your provider. And if you think you are your provider, you will always withhold something because you'll never have enough. But see, when you know that God is your provider, when you know that you've been planted next to living water, you realize He's your source. And it doesn't matter what the balance on your online banking says, He's your source. It doesn't matter, I just got laid off. He's your source. He's got something better for you. He walked out and he left me. Never wants to talk to me again. That may be the best thing that's ever happened to you. And that person is not your source. God is your source. Now, here's the thing, though, about being planted. And I do get this. I understand this. Being planted is scary. Anybody been planted before? Like, underneath dirt? Anybody's ever been, like, someone dug a hole and threw you in that hole and then put the dirt back on it? Anybody? At the beach? Your head too? No. It's like, where's Larry? Where's our dog? Oh, I covered him up at the beach. We did that thing, you know. Did you cover his face up? Yeah, everything. Oh, yeah, we're never seeing no dog for a while. But it's scary because here's the thing. Being buried or being planted looks a lot like being buried. The process is actually exactly the same. See, here's the thing. We don't start off with the tree. And in fact, God, He never plants trees. He plants seeds. And some of you get discouraged because you don't automatically look like a tree. You're expecting things to happen right away. You're looking at other people's lives and thinking, that I'm supposed to have that too. And God's saying, you haven't even got planted yet. See, it starts off looking like this. It starts off looking like seeds. And here's the thing. If I want to get growth out of these, I got to put them in the soil. I can't just leave them here on this table and go like, well, I'm just going to wait for them to grow. Yep. I'll be coming back 10 years later going, it never grew. And there's some of you haven't seen growth in your personal life for 10 plus years because you've never got planted. You have put what God's given you and you put it on a table. And you're expecting something to happen without you doing anything. God's saying, no. I need something from you. No, I need you to get in there. I need you to get plugged in. See, a lot of people don't like to get planted because when you're planted, that means you're under something. And right now, there is a big movement where it's like, we don't need authority. We don't need somebody over us. We got our own thoughts and our own mind. We'll just do this because I'm thinking this. But listen, I've done that. My mom and dad would say, Jimmy, don't do this, don't do that. And I thought, yeah, old people. Yeah, they don't know anything. They don't know how the world is today. So what happened is I ended up making the same mistakes that they made because I wouldn't listen to them, which I should have just listened. And I wouldn't have had to experience that. But see, if we're going to plant something, what we got to do is we got to take the shovel and we got to dig up the soil. All right? You got to get a hole, take the seeds, put them in the hole, and then take the dirt and put them back over the seeds. Now, let's say we're all hanging out, and just Miss Denise, around 4 o'clock this afternoon, pulls out of there, and all of a sudden, she hits L-Dog. And Leah runs in here, and she's like, Pastor Jimmy, Miss Denise just hit L-Dog. He may be dead. And we got to do something because we can't have Miss Denise go to jail. And I'll be like, you know what? I think you're right. And then I'm going to go get Bob. I'm going to get Deacon Bob. And then I'm going to say, Bob, you get L-Dog's legs, I'll get his torso. And Leah's like, come on, we'll take him behind the building. And then we get there, Miss Ann has the shovel. And she's digging the hole. Deacon Bob and I take L-Dog, we throw him in the hole. Miss Ann covers that hole. Process was the same. We planted the seed and we buried the person. And some of you, the enemy has come to you. And the reason that you haven't got planted is because the enemy has been telling you that that purpose that's inside of you has been buried and has dried up and is dead, and you shouldn't even worry about it because you're not good for anybody. It's reminding you of all the things you've done. Telling you that no one's going to listen to you. You're on your 3rd marriage. Nobody's going to listen to you. You remember when you bought all that real estate and then you couldn't get renters and they ended up having to foreclose on all those homes? No one is going to listen to you. You don't have anything to offer anybody. You might as well just do your own thing. Nobody cares about you. And the enemy's been telling you that. And this is what I'm telling you. This is what I believe the Holy Spirit is telling you. Is stop holding funerals for your purpose. Because you're not buried. God's just wanting to plant you. And when you realize that, see, one, buried leads to death. Planting leads to life. And some of you, you've been thinking that you're buried instead of planted because you haven't seen any growth yet. But the growth happens first in the soil. Why? Because God's making you strong. Because there's some stuff that He has for you that if you just started growing from the top, the wind's going to come by and it's just going to tear you down. So right now he's having to build you up. He's having to make you strong. This is we got the process of how it works when you plant something. Starts off as a seed. And then you got a little bit, it's a bigger seed. And then, look, we got growth here. But if you're just looking from the outside, there's no growth. That just because you don't see growth right now doesn't mean there's not growth. And then it starts off something small. But if we start looking at people that are right here, we're going to be like, why am I not there? Because you're not ready yet. If you were there, you just get tore down right now because you're not ready yet. A lot of times we want things that we're not ready for. And God's just saying, it's just hang on a little bit longer. I got some great things for you. A lot of times greater things than we're even thinking that we should have. Let's look at Luke chapter 5, verse 1 through 10. I'm going to push this shovel out of the way before I trip on it. Luke 5, 1 through 10 says, one day as Jesus was preaching on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, great crowds pressed in on him to listen to the word of God. He noticed two empty boats. Stepping into one of the boats. I love that Jesus just steps into one of the boats. It's like, I was going to step into the boat. Ask questions later. Steps into one of the boats. Jesus asked Simon, its owner, to push it out into the water. So he sat in the boat and taught the crowds from there. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, now go out where it's deeper and let down your nets to catch some fish. Master, Simon replied, we worked hard all last night and didn't catch a thing. Anybody's ever felt like that? Like you're like, I've been doing so much, I'm so tired, and it don't feel like I've accomplished anything. We didn't catch a thing. Now, I think it's kind of funny, like Jesus, like his skill, now he's a rabbi, he's a teacher, but he worked with his dad, with Joseph, to be a carpenter. So his expertise, not even a little bit, on fishing. But here he is, this rabbi, this former carpenter, getting on a boat telling these fishermen what to do. Now I got to figure out where I was at. Thanks, L-Dog. Verse 5, Master, Simon replied, we worked all night. I already read that part. Verse 6. Wait, I'm so messed up. Y'all got me so messed up, Pee-wee. Jeez. That orange. Yeah, Peter replied, yeah, if you say so. But if you say so, we'll do it. And what do you think Peter was thinking? It's like, oh my gosh. First, I let this guy on my boat. I was ready to go home. Now he wants me to paddle back out there. Fish don't bite during the daytime. That's why we were out there at night. I want to go home. I want to go to sleep. Gets on my boat. I got to listen to this message. And now he wants me to go back out there? Like, who is this guy? What did you do before you taught? Oh, carpenter. Okay, so you know a lot about fishing. Okay. And he could have been like, no, man, no, that's wasting my time. I just wasted my entire night. I just wasted all of this. My brother's tired. My partners are tired. Nah, man. We're coming back tonight. We'll do it, but not right now. You know? No, he didn't say that. He said, okay, we're going to do it because you said so. Verse 6. And this time their nets were so full of fish, they began to tear. A shout for help. Help! That's how I pictured it. That's Peter's voice, a little squeaky, like that. Help! A shout for help brought their partners in the other boat. And soon both boats, filled with fish, on the verge of sinking. When Simon Peter realized what happened, he fell to his knees before Jesus and said, "Oh Lord, please leave me. I'm such a sinful man." For he was awestruck by the number of fish they had caught, as were the others with him. Why do you think Peter was like, "Oh, geez, I'm such a sinful man"? Why do you think he said that? Anybody? Because he was a sinful man. He had done some things wrong. He had some skeletons in the closet, right? And sometimes we're all like, "Oh no, that person doesn't deserve to have that position. That person shouldn't be helping with the church with that. Oh, that they're going to look at that person and say they represent Fairlawn." No. Yeah, Peter said he was a sinful man because he was. And Jesus kind of just ignored that whole thing. And his partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were also amazed. Jesus replied to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people." He just had one of the worst nights of his life out there on the water. Not able to provide for his family. Probably think I am a terrible fisherman. Fast forward a little bit farther the next day, he's been promoted to the greatest position he'll ever have. What did he do to deserve that or to earn that? Nothing. That's the great thing about Jesus. When he comes into your life, you start getting things that you don't deserve. And when that happens, people are going to say, oh, he don't deserve that. And you can say, yeah, I don't. And you can get what you don't deserve too. Let's hang out and get what we don't deserve together. It's this Jesus thing. That's why it's such the good news. Getting what I deserve isn't that good of news. Because there's times I've deserved good things and there's times I've deserved bad things. Now, that's not the good news. It's when you get good things, even when you don't deserve it. That's what happens when Jesus comes in your life. I want you to look at a couple of things. We're almost done. Heath, you can come up here. Because we're going to hit on point 2 through 5 really quick here. Number 1 was you got to get planted. Before you do anything else, you got to get planted. Number 2, I want you to look at this verse here. What was Peter doing? What was Simon doing when Jesus walked up? Verse 2. He noticed 2 empty boats at the water's edge, for the fishermen had left them and were washing their nets. Their nets that they didn't catch anything in? Their nets that didn't work all night? If this was some of us, you and me, we would have been like, screw the nets, and we'd have thrown them in the water. We'd have ripped those nets up, went and got some new nets, because they're going to help a lot. No. They were taking care of the thing that didn't work for them. And a lot of times when things don't work for us, we're like, we just need to get rid of it. Oh, I heard somebody's talking about me at Fairlawn. I'm going to have to find another church. I sat on one of those chairs, and Miss Karen was sitting on it before. She got glitter all over it. And then I sat there and I got glitter all over me. This is not going to work for me, brother. Go somewhere else. Oh, man. I thought she was the one. That's why I married her. But then we get in an argument about the toothpaste. I'm out. Obviously, she hasn't read the Bible and she don't know what submitting is. And we're ready to throw away the thing that didn't work. But I'm telling you, if you want to experience growth in your life, you are going to have to steward well what's not working well. I had a dream the other night. Scared me to death because I had a dream. I got up here today and I started to speak and there was 4 people in the sanctuary. I woke up and I was like, my gosh, God, are you telling me that church is going to go down to like 4 people? Like, I got it. It's not going to be the year of the bamboo, but this is a little much. And I felt like the Holy Spirit said, no, Jimmy, I'm just reminding you, when you got back in ministry, you said it doesn't matter how many people's in those chairs. It don't matter if it's 1 or if it's 1 million. You're going to prepare the same, you're going to deliver the same, and you're going to treat it the same. I was just reminding you what you said that you would do. So if only 4 of you would have showed up, you would have got the same exact message. You're like, I got like a 1986 Pontiac Sunfire for a car. Like the seatbelts barely work. I got like tie a rope together, a bungee cord. No air conditions in it. There's like Doritos all on the floorboard, which maybe is because of the bag of Doritos I ate in 1986 that I just left there. What am I supposed to do? I need a new car. Steward well what's not working well. Clean that car. Maybe pick up those Doritos. Make sure it's the best looking 1986 Sunfire that's out there. Because if God can't trust you with what He's given you right now, how's He going to trust you with more? If He can't trust Fairlawn with what He's given us, then why is He going to give us more? Like, I want to increase. You're not even stewarding well what I gave you. No, steward well what's not working well. Point number 3, if you want to experience growth in your life, check this out. Jesus walks onto Peter's boat and He sits down. If you want to experience growth, you got to allow Jesus to sit in what you have. Some of you, you're like, I don't got much. When Jesus blesses me with more, I'll let Him have it. You're like, hey, when I get everything together, then I'll just press in. I'll be all for Jesus, you know. Hey, when I win the lottery, Pastor, yeah, we're going to be able to get a new church. We're going to have all kind of new buses. No. If you're not giving with the little bit that you have right now, you're not going to give when you hit the lottery. I guarantee you. Are you allowing Jesus to sit in what you have? Are you allowing God to sit in what you have? Are you stewarding that well? Are you saying, it's not even that much? I didn't ask you if it was much. I said, are you allowing God to sit in it? Are you just trying to work it all out yourself? Number 4. Told you guys this is going to go quick. See, Patty, you didn't believe me. I saw you tell Stacy this ain't going to go quick at all. Number 4. See, there's going to be some things this next year that you don't understand why you're going through it. You don't understand. It's like bizarro world. You're like, man, God, I know you didn't promise all good things, but why am I having to go through this? Why am I having to work out things through this? Why? I'm supposed to be moving forward, and it seems like I've moved backwards. What's going on? You see, when Jesus told them to throw their nets back out, it didn't make any sense to them. But what did Peter say? But if you say so. Something God's going to tell you to do or tell you where to be, and it's not going to make any sense. But you're going to say, but if you say so. Those people are crazy at Fairlawn. You sure you want me at this church? Yep. Okay, I'll say because you said so. But I'm starting to think a little differently than what so-and-so taught, or I'm starting to there's like a change going inside of me, God, and I feel like I kind of need to explore that. Maybe it's time for me to leave Fairlawn. No, this is where I need to be. But if you say so. I don't know, God. Cynthia has not brought me any collard greens for a while. You sure you still want me to be your friend? All right. If you don't bring me collard greens next week. All right. But if you say so. Some of you haven't been experiencing growth because you've been trying to make sense of everything in your own mind. And when God tells you something, you're like, oh, no, that can't be. Instead of saying, but if you say so. The last thing I want you to realize, and drink some water because this is a good one. See, with American culture, and listen, I don't say anything against American culture. I got my iPhone. I'll get my Nikes. I will try my best to match my shoes with my shirt when I speak. Stop getting on to me when I don't. I'm not against American culture, but we want things like right away. And then we always think bigger is better. Right? Bigger's better. And when we think of growth, we think bigger. But I want to tell you this. Growth is not always bigger. Check this out. A few years ago, I broke my ankle. And my right ankle swelled up, L-Dog, like a balloon. It hurt so bad. So bad. Now, check this out. When my right ankle was broken, it was bigger than my left ankle. Does that mean it was better? Heck no. It was broken. It was way worse. Way worse. Growth doesn't always mean bigger. This is point number 5 that we must get if we want to see growth in our lives. And this is important. What's broken swells, and what's healthy grows. If you're not careful, you'll just follow what's bigger, and you'll end up in the middle of something that's broken. There's people that fall for that all the time. They see something bigger, they're like, yeah, I'm going to run towards that. And then once it's too late, they find out, no, that wasn't growth. It was bigger because it was broken. Now, this isn't a point, but this is just a little extra. So, if you want to, Donna, you can put a little more in the offering for this. See, we got these social media scoreboards where we start comparing our lives to other people's lives. And if you say, I've never done it, I'll say, yeah, okay. People put, I got a new car. Which what I think when I see that is like, you also got a new car bill. But then somebody like John Welburn says, I got a new car. And I know that he didn't get a car bill. And I'm like, dang it. Like, I don't like that car anyways. It's ugly. You're going to get a lot of speeding tickets in that car, John, because it's red. But a lot of times we start looking at other things and we start comparing ourselves. And because it don't look like we're at the same place they are, we just give up. A few years ago, I bought, at the same time, I bought 2 rainbow eucalyptus trees. I left them in the pots for a very long time. And then decided to finally plant them. I planted the first one at my house. And I planted the second one here at the church, over in the garden area. They were both the same size when I bought them. But now, how many years has it been, baby? Like 4? 3 or 4 years? You would think they're about the same. We got a picture of these 2 trees? Check this out. Obviously, that's the one at the church. That's the one at my house. This one is like 4 or 5 times bigger. Now, if you don't know anything about rainbow eucalyptus, they're beautiful. Like the barks are like a rainbow colored. They're awesome. They're like trees from the rainforest. This one has grown like incredibly fast. His brother over here hasn't grown nearly as much. Now you would think this one's better. But you don't know what all this one's gone through. See, let me tell you about what this one's gone through. This tree right here has been broken 3 times. Either people have backed into it. I've seen kids out there like swinging it around like it's a whip. Right here, this little bend. Go look at it. You can look at it. That little bend right there, it was almost completely broken off. Somebody was out there with me, and they're like, that tree's gone. Just throw it away. And I'm like, no, we're going to try to. And we like Band-Aided it. I took cling and wrapped it around there. And then the other day I got here a few months ago, and it was like leaning over this way. And I had to get this stick and put it there and put these zip ties around it for it to grow. This part here that was broken is now is grown together and has this cool little bend in it. Now, if I was just comparing, like, which tree's better, this one or this one? Well, that one is growing like crazy. You don't know what this one's gone through. Check out this tree right here. It has no other trees that it has to fight with. This tree right here has all these other root systems in play. Right here. Some of you, you're not growing because you keep fighting with people that you're never going to be able to get through to them. Stop. Some of you think you always have to say the last word. Now you need to learn, hey, it's never going to get through their thick head anyways. You just got to walk away for your happiness, for your peace. But here's the thing about this tree. This is a great tree. This is a great tree. They're both alive. They're both growing. But this one has taken a little bit more time. And maybe your life, maybe you've had a little more things happen in your life than I've had in mine. Maybe you've had to go through some stuff that I didn't have to go through. And you're just looking at it saying, why is my life not like Pastor Jimmy's? You're looking at the wrong thing. No. You're still here. You're still living. God still has purpose in you. God still has great things in you. You're not comparing with anybody else. God has better things for you. The best is yet to come. So, my friends and my family of Fairlawn Church, may you fully be planted in His Word. And may you experience great growth, not because of the elements around you, but because you are planted next to living water. Grace and peace. I love you.
Amen.